In today's emotional check-in video, I wanted to talk about hope, especially since it's around the new year by now. Hope has always been the silent thing that has prodded society onward. I don't think that anyone would work on a consistent basis, especially scientists or artists or even entertainers, if there wasn't something pulling them forward, and that thing is called hope. Hope is what makes inventions happen. Hope is what makes kids dream. Hope has made society and nations build extravagant creations that they never would have come up with without that voice in the back of your head that keeps telling you to go forward, even if you're not seeing results now, because Rome was not built in a day. Hope makes the passage of time seem less despairing. Yes, there's always gonna be people who would pay $1 million to go back in time for whatever reason, to fix a mistake or a regret that they have, or just because the past seems so much more ideal than now. But there's always going to be people who are focused on the future. There's always going to be dreamers who hope for bigger and better things tomorrow. And maybe not all of that always happens. Maybe some people are less practical, but that's okay. That's a good thing that moves society forward. For every person who wishes that the 1950s ideals were here to stay forever, there's also 10 other people who you never would have heard complain about what was going on back then, but who have voices now and can speak their minds, and life is so much better now in so many different ways. Yeah, it's probably more complicated. Technology always makes things more complicated. There's always an ebb and flow in society, and sometimes you feel like you get the short end of the stick for a few years, but nothing's permanent. If you try to cling on to something, make it last forever, that's when you get in trouble. That's when you get a lot of despair all at once, because nothing lasts forever. Instead of clinging to the past like a scared child, hope for the future. Hope helps with change. Immigrants and travelers from all over the world hope for better wherever they're going. Businessmen, investors, and inventors hope for better too. They hope that the investments that they make now will pay off in the future. Scientists and patients alike hope for long-awaited cures. Suffering is a reality, but so is dreaming, so is hope. That's why in so many ways representation does matter, because it gives people something to hope for. In January, it seems like everyone is so concerned with their plans, their goals, their wishes, and their hopes. But at what point does that wear away? Can we cling on to the magical feeling that we have during Witcher? Can we prioritize our plans over conflict? In this age where we can share everything, that doesn't necessarily mean that we should, but if we share something, it has more of a chance of helping and inspiring other people than ever before. So even if your goals seem a little bit selfish, even if you want to break into the entertainment industry, for example, that doesn't have to be innately selfish. Especially if you have the intention of helping another person. If you want to make someone smile, that's not selfish. That's what a lot of people are missing about social media. And sure, most of the time, the people who don't really understand social media are older. I think that if you give it a chance, if you let it help you, then you'll understand. The reason why a lot of content creators want to create actually isn't necessarily all for themselves. They want to help other people. They want to make other people feel a certain way. That's the goal of sharing what they're doing. If you don't have an intention like that in mind and you seek to create some sort of digital art, I don't think that that many people are going to respond to that in the way that you want. You have to really think about the audience that you want when you're making content. I'm sorry, that's a rant that doesn't really have to do with hope, but that's just something that I've personally hoped for so long, was building a connection with people. But then I realized that I had to make people motivated to watch me. I was using one of my hopes as an example here, but a lot of different people hope for different things, and that's okay. We are not all the same. We don't all have the same desires. Yes, we're all humans. Yes, we live similarly and we need similar things to survive, but that doesn't mean that we all have to have the same personalities. If you assume that everyone on Earth requires the same things to be happy, you assume wrong. You should take people for what they are and support them in what they want to do. Support them in their interests. If we understand that everyone hopes for different things, everyone has different goals for different reasons, I think that we would all get along a little bit better. We should be more prone to supporting our peers in their goals, even if they're different from our goals, especially if their goals are rooted in peace. New Year's resolutions at their core are just hope. Don't weigh others' criticisms too heavily on your own goals. If you have hopes, then plan for them. And don't be too consumed in what other people might think about you to prevent you from going through with your plans. Assess your interests in a non-judgmental way. I know that a lot of us are raised to believe that certain interests are cooler than others, but honestly, that's a bias. You should look at what you naturally are interested in and don't look at it with embarrassment or shame. I honestly don't think that that's as big of an issue as it was in the early 2000s these days, especially with social media. You can connect with so many different people with so many different interests besides the people that you just happen to be born around these days. What you should think about first, though, is supporting your own hopes, supporting your own goals before anyone else says anything about it to you. If you support yourself, you'll have better luck in the future. Anyway, I hope that this gave you a little bit to think about around New Year's. Stay beautiful.